right, guys, welcome back to the Fresh Off the Press podcast, and a man that doesn't need any introduction, but we're going to give him one anyways. He is the 2021 Player of the Year, now Hall of Fame Fro in the building, countless regional titles and a member of Team USA, and arguably the best hair on tour, Guppy Troup, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, bro.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
And he brought someone with him.
Yeah.
Brought my old man. Yeah.
The legend himself.
I've got 42 regional titles.
Yeah, he's got more than all of us will ever have,
42?
probably. Yeah.
42?
That's counting 15 seniors and 47.
Okay.
How many in the most states? Like, which state has the most regional?
That's pretty good. I haven't the faintest idea.
Probably.
How many do you remember?
I remember whatever. We were all over the place. that
Florida
time.
was probably a hot
we
ticket
came-
for the
we Came out of
regionals.
Florida a lot. Probably Florida, most of them.
Do you have a home, like a favorite house that you wanted to bowling up? Like when a regional went there or a tournament went there?
Not really.
No.
There was, I can't remember the name of the place. Somewhere in, Port St. Lucie.
Port St. Lucie, that's
That
where
was-
I'm from.
Wasn't it
Wow.
from 1 to
wow.
40 or 50?
Was it
Super
called like
Play?
Super Play? Or St. Lucie Lanes?
No, St. Lucie Lane. Something
Yeah.
like that.
Wow.
But there was like 40 or 50 because he came down. I'm qualified.
Yeah.
Sherry's sitting behind me, and he's down. He's about 9 years old. And I'm sitting up there, and I'm getting ready, and I'm setting, and I hear, Gup. And I'm putting my ball down, looking around. Here comes this running down the lane. Guppy. I said, shut up now. What do you need? And he said, quarters.
Quarters.
So I gave him a
Pinball.
$10 bill and told him to go, next time just walk down here and ask
That's
me. Don't
awesome.
Start yelling.
That's hilarious.
What game were you trying to play?
Pinball. Some pinball
That was
machine.
literally me. Growing up. It was always the South Park pinball machine at Satellite Beach Lanes.
Well, that's where he was playing last night.
Oh yeah, bowling league,
last night.
playing
Oh,
pinball.
nice.
I got my name on the machine, so we're good.
There
Come
you go.
home for a week, get my name on the pinball machine.
Name leave.
Back out.
Yeah, see it.
So we're putting a pinball machine in the new house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay,
for sure.
For
Yeah, speaking of new house, we have a life update, man. You know, you're not living in the Carolinas anymore. You moved, and maybe not a lot of people know that, but like you moved, and you know what's new in the life of Guppy Troup?
Yeah, so my girlfriend and I are building a house. We close in Louisville. Well, it's in Mount Washington, Kentucky, about 30 minutes from Louisville. We close September 1st on the house. So I guess I'm not officially moved because I'm still staying in North Carolina this weekend for the regional. But you know, we're building a real nice house. You know, all friends are welcome.
Heck yeah, can't wait.
We are doing some sort of housewarming party. Sorry, invite only. I'm not going to release the details on the podcast, but you know, really excited about that. Actually bought some appliances today.
Nice.
So now I got a bowl good in the regional this weekend.
To break even.
Just barely.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. So let's talk tour finals. You know, you just got off of a win. Very exciting. You know, the season probably wasn't going how you would have wanted it, you know, based on like your player of the year and stuff like that, but you also had a second place finish at the US Open this year. So if you want to touch a little bit about, you know, US Open this year, tour finals, kind of wrap it all up, like how was the season for you?
Yeah, you know, coming into the season, I had a lot of my focus set on the US Open, you know, never making match play. I practiced a lot before then, worked with Eric and Andy up in Michigan in Jackson.
Yeah.
And, you know, made the show there, finished second, caught a couple bad breaks, and went back and watched it probably a month ago, and I was like, damn, I kind of got screwed out of that.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then I kept biting my fingernails, you know, dealing with the ingrown nail.
Yeah.
Because I'm a stubborn person. I mean, his nails are no better than mine, so I learned it from
I don't
him.
have any ingrown nails.
But you have time to get pedicures now
I
more.
don't even get a pedicure.
But, so, you know, kind of struggled throughout the year, made the TSC show, lost to Belmo. I actually watched that at the gym this week.
Yep.
I didn't bowl a very good game there through urethane because I was scared the first
Yeah.
5 frames.
Yeah.
And, you know, and then switched to grips
Yeah.
before the players and doubles. Kind of shows you how my year was going. I was trying to make a change.
Trying to find something, right?
And, you know, went okay during those 2 tournaments, and then we had the little break in the tour finals.
Yeah.
I didn't practice a ton leading up to that. I went to Mexico on vacation and was in Japan before that. And urethane matched up really well there, you know, up at Angel of the Winds, or I guess Strikers is the bowling center. bowled 300 there last year.
Yeah.
Felt like I kind of got screwed bowling against Belmo, so it was a little bit of a vengeance, but
Yeah.
probably some of the best bowling I've done on TV in
Yeah.
the title match with the urethane. That sometimes you got to throw it slow and shape it and hook it and
Yeah.
do a lot of different things. So it was good to get the 10th title. Now
Yeah.
that's kind of off my back. Now I guess there's no more milestones really
Yeah.
to try and reach. Now it's just how many more can we win.
How can work? Yeah,
So,
exactly.
Wrapped up the season with a win. I kind of like to do that, carry a little momentum forward throughout the summer, and
Yeah.
then PBA League obviously in September.
Yeah, that'll be exciting. And Guff, how do you feel? Like your son's Hall of Fame eligible. Like it has to be something.
Yeah, I know. He was supposed to. The commissioner had called and talked to him or something. They're going to open up the field instead of being 10 titles, and then
Mm-hmm.
he's going to go back to people that he thinks is
It's called the old man category.
old man. Well, he thinks
Pretty
I'm an
much.
old
They
man.
call it the legends on the.
Yeah.
for the
Yeah, they
league.
call it legends because I was
yeah.
into one time. It was me and Slagle, and of course they had to take Ernie.
Yeah, of course.
So and right after that, it was sold, and
Then they
they
bumped it
went
to 10.
to 10.
So how does that work? Is it like a vote amongst your peers? Is it a vote like with the older generation involved, just the
Yeah,
commissioner, or?
all PBA members.
Oh, okay.
Get to vote on who they want.
The
it's
Hall of
probably gonna
Fame.
probably be the commissioner that picks the ones that are.
Elected
Gotcha.
each year.
Elected.
Yeah,
So it's
they
just kind of
have
like
that.
how we vote Player of the Year
Yeah.
and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Okay.
I mean, the ultimate story is if you guys got voted in the same year. That
I
would
mean,
be-
that would-
I could see that coming.
I
would
could
be
definitely
cool.
see that.
Yeah, but you got.
I
how
only
many
need
years?
4 more years, but then
Okay.
I don't know if they would elect me right away.
Yeah.
But maybe if like Guppy's on his deathbed, then we could just
Yeah.
wheel him into Akron for a Hall of Fame induction. That'll get me like an early ticket.
Yeah.
Be like, all right, Tom, Guppy's on his deathbed. Can I get inducted to the Hall of Fame this year?
That's all I'm doing that.
I think a lot of people would, be okay with that if that
That'd be
happened.
great.
That'd be a crazy
That's a dream.
storyline.
That'd be a dream come
Yeah.
true there.
That'd
Well,
be an
don't
insane.
worry, I'm gonna be around here the next 10, 15 years.
Good.
All right, yeah.
And it's coming very, very soon. So you did mention something about grips. And when we first became friends and stuff, me personally, I'd never seen a two-hander that didn't use grips. So what decided for you to make that decision to go to grips? Were you dealing with pain, or was it just more of a feel thing?
So the grip change, there was really no pain involved. Like obviously I mentioned the ingrown nails, but that was not from using no grips. That was just because I can't stop biting my nails. But I just felt like it would allow me to hit it easier.
Yeah.
Because I felt like, with the way my physical game was this year, I just couldn't quite keep my hand underneath the ball enough. Switched to grips, and obviously the first struggle was just over hitting it. But immediately I could feel the difference. My hand was staying under the ball a lot more, and I'd miss right and miss it, and it was still hooked versus
Nice.
2-8-10 every time. So, and the way the season was going, EJ won 5 titles. Simon was in the top 10 every week. I was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and change because, I'm like 15th in points or something like
Yeah.
that. Like, there's nothing to lose here.
Exactly. That's awesome. Okay, so
What
you
would
definitely
I guess,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to say, for people watching that, I know we've talked a lot about this with students, like grips or no grips or two-handers. Like, what would you say was like a huge difference now that you've done, maybe not the grips as long, but like for someone deciding, should they do it or should they not? What are the maybe cons or the pros to each? Or
Now that I've used grips for a little while, I feel like if somebody was like beginning to bowl and they were getting a ball drilled, I would have grips in the ball for them, which, I guess I was kind of unique, one of the few two-handers that don't use grips. And to me, I was just using Guppy's equipment growing up. Like if he would have used grips, then I would have used grips at a young age. And then we wouldn't even be having this conversation.
Yeah.
But I would definitely suggest inserts just because then you may not get into the tendencies of like trying to make the ball hook, because maybe without grips you're not getting too much rev rate on the ball or whatnot. So then you could fall into a better physical game at a earlier start with the finger inserts. It just makes it a lot easier to kind of keep your hand underneath the ball and hit it a little bit more. And then you can kind of focus on getting your hand through it still, because the biggest thing for me was changing over my spare ball. I had switched grips on tour, but I didn't switch grips or in my spare ball till 2 weeks ago. And then I
Okay,
bowled the
so you did
Derby.
it after the tour finals.
Yeah, after tour finals, I still had no grips in my
Yeah.
spare ball. I did it before the Derby, and then I averaged like 210 on the house shot. So I shot ton of spares. And
Yeah.
I missed like one, and I made 3 splits.
Okay.
So it even increased, and I knew as soon as I was like, man, I'm so ready to put grips in my spare ball so I can make some splits.
Yeah.
Because I can't really get my spare ball to hook very much right now because
Nice and
my
soft.
hand's pretty flat.
Yeah.
But, I definitely suggest grips starting out just because it would, I think, lead to better fundamentals, being able to relax the hand a little bit more, maybe not squeezing it, even without a thumb in it. Maybe not using grips, people would tend to squeeze it, which is just going to get the hand doing stuff you really don't want it to do at release.
Yeah. And Gup, I guess they didn't make grips back in the day.
Just one grip, a turbo 2-in-1. But I was bowling, so what,
Yeah.
I'm like him. I went ahead and tried grips, but I had the thumb in the ball. I could see the difference. I could see I would go all the way down the lane without doing that much. Then all of a sudden, make a big turn.
Okay.
And I'm used to,
Guppy's ball hooked for the first time.
Yeah.
And I worked with it probably about 3 months. Said nah. Went back, kind of go down and in and strike,
Yeah.
and set it up way out and in.
So you found it as an advantage back in the day. I mean, obviously, oil was probably way less than we see
Yeah,
today,
20
so it's just a lot more finesse
Yeah.
with your hand.
Yeah, we used to go 20 feet and buff 22.
Oh wow.
And no, Ross didn't have any trouble with it. Nobody had any trouble with it hooking too much.
Yeah. So I guess this is a little bit of a sidebar. Is like, so obviously, we get the patterns, what we're gonna bowl on. Back in the day, was it like? I mean, it's probably a dumb question for the PBA enthusiasts, but like, was there a huge variety of patterns? Was it like you said, 22 and 22? Like, what did you? How was oil and stuff back then? Like, how was the
Back on
patterns and
tour,
stuff?
This mostly regionals because I bowl more regionals.
Right.
Anybody was always using it there, but on tour, they used to come out for 1 week at a time. I think it was. We were going to go 20 oil and 25 feet buff.
Wow.
Would they buff different distances?
No.
Like, was it
It's
always just 20
just
feet
a
buff
week,
to 25?
The week, and we never went over 25 feet with the buff.
Wow. That's
It
crazy.
was just the surfaces that played a big role.
Yeah.
in, like,
Yeah.
how-
I mean, hard rubber. I used LT48.
yeah.
And then Tommy Nevitt, a good friend of mine from down in Florida, he made the show one time in Battle Creek, Michigan. It was after I won my first title in Battle Creek, 78. And he made the show in 79. So him and I used to use the same ball. So I gave him my LT48.
Mr. Nevitt.
And he made the show, but didn't do that much on the show.
Yeah. Wow. That's awesome.
I'm curious. Did Surface play a lot back in the day when you guys bowled? Because now Surface is
Like
such a
Aberlon?
big, yeah, like Aberlon,
No.
like Scotch spray, whatever you guys use,
No.
sandpaper. You guys didn't do
Sandpaper,
that,
that
at all?
was it, baby.
Yeah, so you
Give me a
guys.
ball, I'd sandpaper it with 300 or 400
Wow.
sandpaper, and
So
then just
everyone was just
throw
using
it.
400 grit.
Yeah.
Wow.
So they still use Surface 4
Yeah.
years ago.
yeah.
But now it's so much different of like the surface playing such a big role. Like 70% of your ball motion is, whether you need 4,000 or, or what's underneath it on top. So that's crazy to, they were just all using 400 back then.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, but
But
crazy.
they were also
Singers.
using rubber and
Yeah.
urethane
Yeah.
balls, so
Yeah.
I
But
don't
even
think you
now
needed
Surface
any other
plays
surface
such a
on.
big part on urethane balls.
Yeah,
I
true.
mean, what
It's
they
like how dull can we get them?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how long can they stay that way?
Yeah.
Right.
And speaking of urethane and surface, and even going back to those times, obviously we have a huge urethane rule coming into play next year. Obviously, me and you are urethane lovers. We love to use it whenever we can. What's your take on that? Like, how do you feel about it? Like, do you think it's good, bad, indifferent? How's it going to affect? Like,
Well, with the rule being, I guess, the hardness has to be 78 now instead of 73. And then I guess the leeway, the reasoning behind it is they say the life of a ball gets 5 points softer.
Yeah.
So then we won't get below 73. Obviously, my first thoughts were I hope all urethane balls made are 78 hardness across the board.
Yep.
For next year. I don't mind the rule when they're trying to, I guess, level the playing field, like even it out a little bit more. I think the purples are soft. A lot of people think they are.
I mean, there's
But,
tests to prove it.
Yeah,
and it's not to
if
shame
they are,
them.
if they're not, not here to talk about that because
Yeah.
I'd just be beating a dead horse. But
Yeah.
that's going to eliminate that, so then that's okay. Yeah, it sucks for me because I love my urethane and they're probably not going to hook as much. But if that kind of levels the playing field, then us as bowlers just kind of have to figure out what to do differently. I'm already starting to drill some resin bomb. Drilled a few for this week. I drilled a DNA and a TNT with some
Shorter
different layouts,
pins.
like, well, just different layouts that I've
Yeah.
never done. I was talking with Eric Kraus,
Yeah.
our storm rep, and I had to send him a picture of it because I was like, this looks
insane.
this looks weird. And he's
Yeah.
like, well, we wanted to do something different. I'm like, all right, I just want to make sure it was correct because
Yeah.
I'm laying it out at home.
Yeah.
So, it's just going to be a challenge. I mean, and it's going to be fun to watch some of the people who can't bowl now.
Yep.
Like, because
I agree
I'm
with
okay
you.
with it. Like,
Yeah.
Do you really think there's going to be some players now that are just
Yeah.
dust?
Oh, yeah. I mean, ball reactions are going to on both sides of the lane.
Yeah.
Obviously, the lefties, it's going to show. But then again, like, when I first heard the rule, I'm like, oh my God, Jesper's ball's never going to hook.
Yeah.
Well, honestly, Jesper may like it
He
because the
may.
balls don't hook as much, and he can just stand on top of the friction. So, like, we may still be using the urethanes. We're just going to be playing the lanes differently now.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
The lanes might not break down as quickly, maybe.
yeah, I mean, because the surfaces aren't going to be, they're still going to be as dull, so maybe not then. I guess obviously if we're not using them for as long,
Yeah.
then the lanes will transition a little bit differently. But,
Yeah.
The rule is what it is. I do like that they're trying to level the playing field.
Yeah.
Kind of sucks that we lose the ones that we like now.
Yeah, for sure.
The other rule was the, resin balls.
Yep. Moving up 1 point, I think.
No,
from 72 to
the
73.
date of when you can use
Oh, yeah,
them.
yeah.
I was messaging Jesper yesterday because he has about 30 bowling balls at the house.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm moving. So I'm going through them all, and I looked at the serial numbers, and he's got like 10 resin that are good.
Yeah.
And then there was like 9 that weren't, plus
Yeah.
his 8 pitch blacks that'll be too soft
Right.
next year.
Yeah.
And I was like, what do you want to do with these?
Yeah.
I was like, you want to take any of them back to Sweden?
Yeah.
And he kept like 2 of his resin balls. So, all the idols, alerts, alters, UC2s, like,
Yeah.
fuck the urethane ball. Like,
Yeah.
I'm more worried about all these resin balls that I've won like half my titles
For
with.
sure, no,
That
absolutely.
I'm not going to get to use. So,
yeah, and it
um,
even comes to a point too where some of the balls are like borderline, because when I was talking with Sean Ryan about this, he's like, it's not necessarily when the ball's released, it's when that ball was manufactured. So there's still some like reality checks
Yeah.
that are fine,
Yeah.
some dark codes maybe that are still fine, and I'm just like, it's I guess it's okay, whatever. Like, I'm not gonna bitch about the rules or anything like that, but it throws another element into the game of like, we actually have to pay attention to when this ball was like released
Yeah,
and pay attention
I didn't
to
even
serial
think
number.
about that. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, well, all my dark codes are gone and all these balls are gone. But yeah, if they were still being made after August 1st or above.
Yeah,
That comes like to where people could be questioning things if like, you're throwing a reality check that's hooking off the lane and yours just for whatever reason isn't
Yeah.
reading, you could, but you're gonna have to go up and ask people like, hey, can I see your serial number? Which
Yeah, I
is
mean,
not ideal either.
but that's, that'll kind of level the playing field some more. So
Yeah.
like I don't mind that
Yeah.
really with the rule change.
yeah,
Is what it is. We'll have to learn. Things will change a little bit as far
Yeah.
as ball motion and the way we attack the lanes. But
right.
I mean, other than that, I'm sure by game 5 we're going to be in the left gutter. regardless.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it is what it is.
Some
'Cause I don't
things
see the
just never
patterns
change.
changing a
Yeah,
ton.
some things never change.
Yeah.
So obviously, EJ has had an incredible year. Like, it's probably going to go down in the record books as one of the best years on tour. I'm going to give the man all his credit. But besides that, I still feel like there's a lot of talk with who the best player in the world is right now. Like, and it's just my personal opinion. It's just like, EJ is definitely one of the top 3 best in the world for sure. But if I had to put all my money on somebody right now, it's just like, I think Simo can do it all.
So I think it's all about the word that we decide to use.
For sure.
If we're talking about the world's best,
Yeah.
it's still Belmo.
Yeah.
The world's most versatile, Simo.
Yeah.
And EJ's like just as good as both of them.
100%.
But, so I mean, I've had this conversation a few times, and like, it's unbelievable what Simonson can do.
Mm-hmm.
The Lucy performance was
That's
sick.
exactly what we
was
were going
sickening.
to. Yep.
He was lofting the 5th arrow with the exponent, and then he just moves right and just firm rolls it between 5 and 10, and averaged 249
yeah.
Yeah, didn't
in
he
match
have
play.
300 in there?
With a 298, yeah.
Yep, 298. I mean, it took.
I think for me, it's hard to like judge them. For me, like obviously knowing Simo and EJ very well, and then obviously just getting to see Belmo, I think what we all forget when it comes to like who's the best in the world, it comes with experience. So you have EJ is obviously a little bit older than Simo. Obviously Belmo's older, but he also has so much more experience. I think it's hard to even put them on the same pedestal, and why I still would agree with Nate. Like, I think Simo's the best because his age, like what the things he has done at his
Right.
age. If
Yeah.
we fast forward and put him at Belmo's age, I think, you know, we're seeing a completely different storyline. I don't think we know who Belmo is if they're the same age. If Simo-
It could
I
very
just-
well be that
and that's
way.
not
No,
me,
I
like,
see
crapping
that
on Belmo,
completely.
But
Yep.
you know, like you can't, even with EJ, he's just a little bit older than him. That, you know.
I would imagine that age gap between Simo to EJ and EJ to Belmo is probably around the same.
Yeah.
I don't really know how old Belmo is off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
I think it's
49.
like Belmo is not 49 years old.
He might.
Belmo,
I think he.
Belmo's about to go therapy, so
No, he's
everyone
30.
watch out.
He's 39.
It's either
39.
39 or 40.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
What is Simo, like, what, 25?
25 or
Like, you
26.
can't- I don't think you can put like like, you know, it's kind of like you put a price on something. You can't really. To me, you know, I look at the best and it's like, what could he? As long as he stays healthy and he continues to like pursue the sport as he is, you know, I just don't think that EJ and Belmo are even on the same level. And I love both of them, but I just, for what they can do and, you know, what he's done at such a young age, he's going to just gain that experience so much quicker than they have. You know, EJ didn't have success right out on tour, but Simo did, you know, so he's been able to see and compete at the highest level at such a young age.
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, I
Man's a
think
killer.
honestly, yeah. I mean, I think if you were to put Belmo at 25 and Simo at 25,
Oh,
the,
yeah.
the resumes don't even add up.
Not even close.
So, yeah, but like you said, I do like what you said is like, you know, the GOAT, obviously Belmo, the most versatile, has potential to even overpass him is Simo, and then EJ is just as good. But yeah, like I like how you worded that. But it's going to be very interesting to see like the rest of Simo's career and their careers, how it's going to end up.
I mean, I think, you know, with Simo, it just comes down to, you know, how long does he have motivation and want to do it?
Yeah, that
because we
is
never
true.
know with Simo. You
Yeah.
know, like, he's my boy,
Yeah.
and because I think he can win for as long as he wants. You know,
As long as he's still invested in it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's, you know, that I think that's what it will take with Simo. And but that's the other thing. Like whenever I was 26, I was just now ready to start pushing the ticket. You know, I mean, what's that, 5 years ago? Yeah, I was just quitting my job, like, you know, kind of getting into just bowling for a living for like a full year, full time. So he can still go to the next level. Like, I feel like Simo's still got another level of dedication
Yeah.
that he can put forward to it
Yep.
when he gets a little bit older and I guess realizes even more what he's got.
Yeah.
We're all in trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely something that I don't take for granted, even as a fan. You know, just watching Simo, Belmo, EJ just doing what they're doing. It's inspirational, you know, for people that want to aspire to be on tour or, you know, just give it a shot. That these guys did come from nothing, especially Simo. He came from nothing. Like we most of us
the
know the
story with him,
backstory
yep.
for sure. And you know, my heart's definitely with him, knowing like what he's gone through. But it is it's definitely encouraging, inspiring, especially when, you know, you have those moments of doubt and you know, wondering, questioning if you're not good enough. And speaking of that, you know, there was a point for you that you were regional guy, you know, and you were ready to go to the next level, but something just wasn't hitting for you. What was that transition for you where you finally broke out on the scene on the national tour? Like, what all changed for you to start having the success?
So let's see, 2007, I joined the PBA, you know, Boulder Regional, cashed in my first one. Joined, was kind of bowling regionals, part-time, full-time, closer to graduating high school in 2010, 12, 13, 14. You know, had probably 7 or 8 regional titles at least by then, and had dabbled in the national tour, you know, bowled the World Series a few times. You know, I won my first title in 2015.
Yep.
But that was on Wolf, and I mean, I just knew if I was going to win a title,
It was going to be on short.
it was going to be on short, because
Yeah.
that's all I could do was play the gutter.
Yeah.
And I continued to only be able to play the gutter after that for a little while longer. It was just finally slowing my ball speed down. I mean, it sounds simple, but for me, like, you know, I kind of had some of the mental game to get through.
For sure.
You know, it's just, I didn't really know ball motion.
Yeah.
Didn't understand it. You know, my balls all did the same thing. They went 21 miles an hour down the lane. They hooked early.
Yeah.
And then
You carried
they
it
hooked
if you
again,
could,
or
yeah.
you know, did my trick.
Yeah.
And so once I got, you know, and that took a while. You know, the transitioning from hanging off the back of the approach, sliding a mile to, you know, using my legs, and leverage at the line
Yeah.
and 3 miles an hour slower ball speed. So that took a couple years to learn. Won another title or two. Won the doubles with Jesper for my second. Jesper kind of carried me there.
Yeah.
I mean, we both bowled really well, but I mean, he averaged 250, so I
For
just
sure,
had to
yeah.
keep it on the lane.
Yeah. Close the frame, throw a double here and there.
And then we rocked out on the TV show.
Yeah.
And then I beat Belmo in Sweden in 2017 or 2018. I beat Belmo in Sweden, and he was defending champion, and that was kind of, pretty
big
big
deal.
for me then. I was like, all right, and I was shaping the urethane.
Right. I was
From
about to
left
say
to
you
10.
did throw urethane on that.
Which that's the first time I had ever really thrown a urethane ball left of the second arrow, and I was like, okay, I guess I can. And I remember I was like all the way up in front of the second set of dots trying to just go
So
as
slow.
slow as possible, and now
Yeah.
it's like that's the only speed I can go.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was around there. It was really just slowing my ball speed down, understanding ball motion, and then kind of breaking through with the Player of the Year performance, and winning a major and kind of starting to rack up the wins. That was obviously a little bit more physical game tweaking, but it's a lot more of the mental
For sure.
composure and process oriented, and just staying focused on that and just looking at the game completely different.
Yeah.
Some things in life happen as well, and
For sure.
kind of changed the outlook on everything, and that
Absolutely.
just kind of made bowling a lot easier for
Yeah.
me. And here we are now, still grinding, trying to learn every time we bowl, and I guess that's that.
Yeah. So like you did elaborate on process a little bit. I think that the process has to be almost perfect on a TV show, because there's so many things that could go wrong. I know we've had conversations to where a fan said something and before you got on and
US
it
Open,
affected your
yeah.
shot. Yeah. And obviously Bayside, that has to be, your process has to be really good there because people are screaming and hollering. What's your process like for the bigger moments, or like, you don't even have to say TV show, if you need a double in the 10th frame? Like, just bring it that simple. Like, how is
Yeah.
your process?
Well, it goes back to what Jim Callahan preached for probably a year and a half straight on tour, which is why I have such a good mental game now, because, I could hear him in my sleep.
Yeah.
Is focus on your process and stay in the moment. So
Yep.
if we break that down into two parts, focus on your process. Well, your process is your pre-shot routine. Your process is how you carry yourself off the lane and sit there between frames. Your process goes to how you're thinking.
Right.
Having positive thoughts or not negative thoughts, not looking back on the bad frame, not thinking forward about being 3 frames away from winning a title.
Correct.
And then that kind of rolls over into stay in the moment.
Yep.
It's about, the process is also about keeping the moment as small as possible. You want that tunnel to be as small as you can, and you want to see the light at the
Yep,
end of the tunnel,
for
which
sure.
is the shot,
For
which
sure.
is what you're trying to execute.
Mm-hmm.
And when your process gets off and these thoughts come in your head of whatever,
Yeah, it could
I
be
remember
anything.
I bowled a TV show and I'm looking up at a 6-pin and I'm like, wow, I haven't missed a single pin this week, and then I threw it in the gutter.
Yeah.
And that ran through my head
Yeah.
as I'm kind of picking up my spare ball, and
Yeah.
and then obviously I'm focused, but then that's a break in process.
For sure, yeah.
So it's focus on the process and then stay in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
When you make that moment just like another 10th frame or first frame or second frame, like the 10th frame is no different than the first frame.
For sure. Absolutely.
It's the same as every frame.
Yep. It
That's-
just has a number on it.
Yeah, that's breaking down the process frame for frame, trying to just stay in the moment of the game.
Yeah.
And then, because when I was at my sharpest, I would just focus on one shot at a time, if I made a good shot or not. And then I pretty much would always say, like, all right, well, I'm going to bowl till they tell me to stop. I
For
don't
sure.
know how many games we bowl. Like,
Yeah.
how many games we bowl in a day? I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just here to shoot up.
It's like when the lights go off, then it's
play
like,
my
okay.
process game.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely. Just to relate to a personal experience, I'm sure Elise has done the same thing. Going back to Spring Hill when I won, it was obviously a strike fest, and I knew Carlos was going to put up a number. It wasn't a strike fest, obviously, through qualifying and stuff, but as we kept bowling on the fresh, it got to where the shot makers were just making better shots than everybody else. And we threw a ton of strikes. And, I went 9 spare and then through the next 9, or 8 to get to the 10th frame, and Carlos didn't let up either. He started out flat 10, threw a 5-bagger, 9-pin, light 7, but then I still had to get the first one. But if I focus on what he's doing, that's not going to allow me to elevate my process and be able to rise to the occasion, make the shot that I needed to in the 9th and 10th in order to win. Obviously, I know all this because I watched it back, but you know, like you say, it doesn't matter what your opponent is doing. You can only control what you can control. And if I started focusing on anything other than what I was doing in that present moment, I was going to be dust. And I do appreciate Jim Callahan for teaching us that, because
He does.
because like, you know, Jim has been so big on that, and you know, he's been a huge part in my success as well, because he showed me the videos we get in our group chat and all that good stuff. And you know, it's definitely, this game is definitely more physical than it is. I mean, more mental than it is physical, for
Especially at our level.
sure. Yeah,
100%.
100%.
Yeah, I remember Callahan when I bowled regionals,
Yeah.
nationals. We were bowling in Virginia somewhere, and I ain't got that much in qualifying, you know, or in practice session.
Yeah.
So he said, "Come with me. We'll go out and drill 2 pink hammers, different way each of them."
Yeah.
And he says, "When you start tomorrow, start with this ball." So I did. I shot 240, 220.
Yeah.
Okay. Third game comes around, and he's running back and forth between guys that are on staff.
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
Comes out and now switch to the other ball.
Yeah.
268, 240. It was unbelievable. That's the only time it ever worked.
Yeah.
But he said, use this ball. I shot 100 over. Now he said, change balls. And I shot 110 over again with it.
God, we are young. Like
Yeah.
pink hammers.
Pink hammer.
That was your big ball. But that's awesome. You know, just to see like the comparison, you know, obviously you have 2 generations here, and to see the comparison of the game and how it's elevated and how different it is unbelievable.
I guess the only I had, like, we talked about this on our last podcast, and I guess we're not two-handed. I know I can't do it. I'm broken. Like, I can barely bowl one-handed. So what does, like, you know, two-handed look like for these guys as they're getting to 50 and 60? We talked about that. We don't know how sustainable it is, especially with youth coming up that maybe not taking their health seriously, and understanding that, you know, a lot of people now are starting two-handed. You know, we started one-handed and some people switched to two-handed. You know, it's so different on your body. And are we going to see Belmos and Kyles and Simos bowling when they're 50 and 60 like we see these guys? Because how is that going to affect you guys going forward? You know, it's the unknown right now.
You know, I definitely 100% think we can see two-handed bowlers in their 50s and 60s if they take care of their bodies. Like, if you don't take care of your body bowling two-handed, bowling a lot, yeah, I mean, good luck. And my body broke down in 2015, couldn't get out of bed, my sciatica was so tight. I never stretched, I never really worked out, never got a massage in my life, and, you know, kind of had to learn I needed to change my body at 25, and now, you know, I stretch twice a day, morning and night, obviously warm up before bowling. But that is just the main thing. If they take care of their body, I think they can bowl as long as they want two-handed. And if they don't take care of their body, then yeah, they're going to get the bowl for a while, and then they're probably just going to start hurting so much that they quit.
That's me.
But
Yeah, that's kind of what we talked about.
he's 72. At 72, I don't know how many
73.
two-handed. Or yeah, 73.
He's trying to give you a year.
I don't know how
Why
many
don't you stick
two-handers we're
around?
going to see at 73,
Yeah.
but in the
Yeah.
50s and
Yeah,
60s,
Tyler's
I could
got
see
a few
some.
that bowl
Yeah.
in his scratch tournament.
Oh, really?
That have won his scratch tournament.
Oh, wow.
There's one 52-year-old that throws a two-handed too.
Yeah, we got a
Yeah.
few guys in Newton to
Yeah.
do it, but you know,
Yeah, and
just
that's-
kind of on the house shots and league stuff.
That's kind of what we talked about. Like, you see Walter doing it, but he's not doing it for the whole block. He's not doing it for the whole World Series. He's doing
Right.
it just the last couple of games.
Yeah.
You know, like, how sustainable is it if you are just doing, you know, a lot of these one-handers that are older, like, they probably didn't take their health as serious growing up as these new generations are.
No.
And that's kind of what we try to preach, like, when, you know, to everyone on the channel, and then when we are coaching, is that, you know, bowling is just as physical as other sports, and we're not bowlers, we're athletes. You know, like, a lot of people
Correct.
don't take our industry as seriously when it comes to those aspects, and I think even more now with two-handed being a big part of the game, and, you know, women are now, you know, becoming two-handed, that, you know, it's going to be even more people having to train at that top level to sustain their bowling going forward.
I couldn't agree more. You know, and that's kind of the last 5 years. A lot of the guys on tour kind of started focusing on taking care of their bodies a little bit more. Not that we're hitting the gym 6 days a week, throwing up weight, and you know,
Yeah.
but just kind of being a little more cautious of what you eat. You know, that's the big thing too. You could do that and not work out for the
Yeah.
most part and be all right. Just have some flexibility. You know, Sean Rash is huge on flexibility. He can put his hands on the floor, you know, with his legs straight.
Yeah.
You know, and he's in his mid 40s, but he's also dealing with injuries now. And I think he realized too late in his
Yeah.
career. You know, he's got some kind of serious problems going on with his back and different injuries he's fought in the last 18 months. You know, but he's still trying now. Obviously, he's trying to play catch up. So
Yeah.
that's, I mean, I couldn't agree more with everything he said there, because it's the game definitely wears out the body for sure. I mean,
That's the way the tour is. You know, when we had it, we bowled 24 games finals, then TV show and all that. After each qualifying, if you had a bar that was built on it, everybody was in there. Every
Yeah.
senior in the world.
Yeah.
let's bowl and get
You
drunk.
guys were going straight to the gym after the vlog?
No,
You guys weren't watching
didn't
like
know, Jim.
Well, now we bowl, then we drink, then we go to
Yeah.
the gym in the morning.
Yeah.
No,
That's where they
we
didn't
forgot
have
that.
Yeah.
in the 80s.
No,
Yeah.
we had great times in the bar.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. And then
Gup, we're preaching about being healthy.
look at me now.
We're not trying to encourage anybody here to drink.
No, but that's what we're saying is like the generations of bowling is that's kind of what we're trying to do in bowling is like we need to be on a bigger scale marketing, and it comes down to what are we doing as bowlers. Like we can't expect the PBA and PWBA to be promoting something that's not what our sport is.
Yeah.
You know, they were promoting that kind of back in the day, like the
Yeah.
badasses.
Hell,
Like
They had all the
Miller,
beer
Molson,
sponsors.
Budweiser,
Yeah.
we had
Yeah.
every beer
Take
in
your
the world
pick.
that's
back
what they were
those days.
doing, you know, and I think that that's now in this society and how we are now is like bowling is going in a different direction where people are paying attention more to that so they can bowl when they're his age, you
Right.
know, and that's not his fault. It was a part of his generation.
No,
That's
it's
what
my
they
fault.
did. But I'm
Bad
saying,
me.
but I'm saying in general that wasn't a part of them, you know, back in the day to be the best of the best in that time. They didn't have to be. You know, now you have to train at a higher level too. It's already hard enough on tour, and now you got
Right.
guys that are in the younger generations that are hopefully training at the higher level to put us on a bigger market because we're training like athletes. And
Yeah, I'd see kids, you know, bowl your squad. I go in the bar when I'm there. Come
Yeah.
in, maybe 5 or 6 people in the bar, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before you barely get in the door.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
now,
how much has changed
yeah,
with y'all's generation.
yeah,
Absolutely.
it's
My
definitely,
generation.
Yeah.
It's just
it's not.
that I did it for fun.
Yeah.
I,
Even-
didn't, I got paid for it, but that was good.
Yeah, even in the last 5 years, like obviously being out on the guys' front, seeing how it was like 5 years ago, yeah, you don't see the whole bar as
Yeah.
I
full.
mean,
And
I was
there's-
in the bar a lot more 5 years ago too
Yeah.
than I am now.
Yeah, and that's just I think the way bowling is turning, and I think it's good, and that's going to help us get that bigger marketing because the NFL is not getting this marketing because the guys are out at the bar with their fans. They're getting it because they're out there training to perform in their sport, which is what we all go to see the games. We don't care what they're doing in their personal life because we know that they're training for the games every year.
And before, there was never any training in our tour.
Yeah.
From like 75 to 90, 95, it was nobody. running.
Other than Amaletto was out there
Amaletto
running
was
to
out
every
there.
Yeah,
stop.
literally.
But that's
5
why you
miles
see,
for the show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's why you see certain guys that dominate and are still dominating
Yeah.
at their age because they
Yeah.
took it serious back in the day when there was only 2 guys taking it serious.
Right.
Versus now, there are the top 10 guys on tour,
Yeah.
top 20 on tour, and especially I think the women's tour is a little bit more serious even than the
Oh, yeah.
guys tour. It's
Yeah.
so hard. Like that's what's been the hardest thing for me the last couple of years is dealing with injuries. Like I know what I could be, but I'm like I'm already so behind because I have the women training at that level where after I get over my injury, now I'm already set back and now I have to get caught back up because the women definitely are taking that more
Yeah.
seriously,
How old
even
is it?
in the training.
How old?
30.
30.
And I'm already like
Gee.
you. I'm already broken to the point where I can't bowl most of the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not
already
anymore. They're older.
I'm 28.
Oh, gee.
Yeah.
Like them young ones.
Yeah.
See, you ought to try an older one now and then. That's really good for you.
So I guess to wrap up, man, what do you have any big plans or goals for the rest of the year or going into next year?
Yeah, win the regional in Nashville this weekend. Pay for the appliances.
Well, he's
Yeah,
got a bowl the bowler of the year in the South right now. So
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. We have the PBA League coming up.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to win 4 in a row there. Bree, Steph, Tyler, a lot of people are coming up to Portland, so it's going to be a good time this year. But other than that, trip over to Sweden.
Yep.
Bowling the Lucky
Lucky
Larson.
Larson.
I've won that before. Get to see my boy Jesper. Haven't seen him since tour, and see his baby girl Mira.
That's
I think
awesome.
I'm more excited about that than the
Yeah.
tournament.
How old is she now?
She was born January 10th. The only reason I know that is because 110 on the roulette wheel.
did it hit?
It does sometimes.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
But
Kyle's never gambled
probably
in
go to
his life.
another casino this year before the year's over.
Do they have casinos in Sweden? Sorry,
They do.
Okay.
Jesper and I have been before. We've made money.
Sorry.
But you know, and then obviously moving into the house, that's
Yeah.
going to take up a lot of time in October. Just got some different events, but a lot of those
Are you
events.
excited to not have to take care of him?
Yeah, definitely excited to you know, move out
Oh,
from
You're gonna
Guppy.
get yourself a maid.
Brandon, she said, come up, stay for a month at a time, anytime you want.
He's just gonna move in with you now.
No. No, he can
I
stay,
heard
but
him say guess
he'll
where
pay.
it was
He can
open.
pay rent like he makes me, so that's okay. But you know, so those few events, after getting moved into the house, getting ready for next year.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
where I was going. Was you know, next year I haven't really thought about my goals. Obviously, I would like to win another major,
Yeah.
but you know, haven't really sat down and thought about my goals for next year. But definitely know that not really taking too much time off.
Yeah.
You know, going to kind of practice, stay ready
Yep.
through October, November, December, and hopefully, you know, we get our tour schedule and we get back out on the lanes in January.
Yeah, man. Definitely excited about that. Definitely excited to see what the 2024 season is going to look like for sure. But yeah, dude, I appreciate you coming on, taking
Heck
the
yeah,
time.
man. Definitely.
Always a great
Yeah.
time, Gup. Always a great
Thank you,
time with
sir.
you. So that's another edition of Fresh Off the Press. For me, Kyle, Gup, Elise, we'll see you guys on the next one.
Cocktails.
I was like waiting for it.
Perfect.